There are two types of people in the world: those who pay interest and those who collect it. Banks and credit card companies are the absolute best at collecting interest, while their customers, on the other hand, are usually the ones who are stuck paying it out due to either their ignorance or bad financial habits. In this video, I'm going to show you how I flipped the script by making money on the bank's money, about $2,500 per year, using 0% introductory credit card offers while paying $0 in interest. But before I get into that, if you're new here, hi, I'm Nathaniel with the Fat Stacks Academy, where it's our goal to help every American worker make 5, 10, 15,000 extra dollars per year through financial optimization and the best credit card and bank bonuses. So if you're up for making some fat stacks, hit that like button and let's get stacking. I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. The information in this video is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. There are links in the description that have affiliate programs that may make me some money, which is a great way to support the channel, but it is also an incentive that profits me. I always do my best to find the best offers available, even if they aren't my links, but I am just a random guy on the internet and it's always wise to do your own research. Alright, so let's get into making some interest from the banks and credit cards for a change. Normally what credit card companies hope you do when you buy stuff is that you pay for more things than you actually need and you carry a balance every month so they can collect interest off of you. If this is still a problem for you, I kind of suggest that you click away from this video right now, learn how to create a budget, an emergency fund, and start building some good financial habits. If you're already drowning in credit card debt, have late fees, or are paying any interest, this video is not for you. If you're someone who has good financial habits and have used credit cards responsibly, paying the balance in full every month and never paying any interest or late fees, I want to suggest a new strategy that can increase your profits from the credit card companies. So the right traditional way of using credit cards, we'll call it level 1. You buy stuff you normally would in your budget, you don't overspend, and you just use your credit cards as a tool to earn cash back in miles or for the convenience, fraud protection, and extended warranties and other benefits. Every single month, you pay your card off in full, that money leaves your account, and you have a zero balance, and life is good. For me though, I saw a way to make a little bit more out of the game, and I wanted to level up my credit card usage to level 2. Level 2 in the credit card interest game is to leverage 0% introductory offer to effectively earn extra interest on all of your purchases. These introductory offers range from 6 to 21 months, depending on the card and offer, and most are around the 12-month mark. Now with the 0% offers, banks are also hoping you make some bad habits. You pay for more things just because you have an extra credit limit, and then at the end of that introductory period, you've racked up a bunch of extra debt that they'll then be charging you that 20+% interest on. We're not going to fall into that trap here. Instead, we're going to follow the 5 rules to maximize the level 2 use of credit cards, where you're making money off of the bank and they're not making money off of you. In level 1, when we pay our balance in full every single month, our money isn't going to be earning any interest in our high yield savings account. In level 2, on the other hand, because we're leaving a lot of purchases effectively on the bank's books instead of out of our checking account, when those purchases are effectively at 0%, that money will be earning interest. So for level 2 to work, you need to have a high yield savings account or a high yield cash account. I highly recommend the Wealthfront cash account. It's my favorite all around bank account, whether it's checking or savings. I made a whole video about it. Check it out now or after you watch the video. All right, so let's say you just opened up a new credit card with a 12-month 0% introductory offer. In that first month, let's say you spend $1,200 on things you would normally use that card or other payment method for. Effectively, what happens is because that amount of money is going to be staying in your high yield savings account for about 12 months, you'll be making a total of $66 in interest. How did I get that number? I changed the interest rate in this section of the spreadsheet to 5.5%, and then there's a fancy formula assuming it'll be in there for a year with that total amount coming out there. Now the thing about 0% introductory offers is depending on when you buy something, you're going to be getting less interest on it. So you'll notice in February, that same $1,200 is only going to give you about $60 in interest because it only has 11 months to mature before you need to pay off that credit card. So for me, when I'm using this strategy, I usually only use it for about the first 6 months up until I hit my credit limit, and then look for another one just to maximize how much money I can make on it. This spreadsheet is going to be in the description, so you can change the interest rate to whatever your high yield savings account is, put in how much you actually spend per month on things, and then determine how much you could likely make in interest whenever you use this 0% introductory offer on the credit card you just applied for. With all that, let's get back to full screen. Okay, so let's get into the 5 rules you need to follow to make sure that you're making money off of the bank and credit card company and not the other way around. Rule number 1 is pretty simple. Just buy stuff you normally buy. Just because you have 0% on your purchases for a while doesn't mean you want to overextend yourself and buy stuff you normally wouldn't. It will come back to bite you. Rule number 2 is to set up a category or bucket in your high yield account, or just make sure you're keeping track of it to make sure that anything you're purchasing on that credit card with the 0% introductory offer is in a separate location that you can use once the introductory period is over. Because if you don't have that money ready to pay off that card after the 12 months or so is over, you'll immediately start be paying 20% interest on all of those purchases. Rule number 3, just because you aren't making the statement balance doesn't mean you don't need to make the minimum payment every single month. No matter what credit card strategy you're using, you always have to make the minimum payment to avoid late fees. And in this case, if you miss a payment, what the credit card company can do is say you didn't follow the rules and essentially end that 0% introductory period early. So always make sure you make that payment every single month. What I do is I set a reminder on my calendar to make the payment on the due date, and I set up automatic payments just to make sure everything goes through. After it goes through a few months successfully, I usually just put it on autopilot. The minimum payment is usually $30 to $40 or 1% of the total balance. So not very much if you're using this like I do, where sometimes I have balances of $20,000 on a single card, like my Blue Business Plus from last year. Rule number 4 is to mark your calendar for the day or a few days before the introductory period is over. Maybe put it a whole weekend so that you make sure that once it comes up, you're ready to pay that balance in full from that money you set aside in rule number 2. And rule number 5 is more of a very strongly suggested guideline. 0% introductory offers are best used on business credit cards that do not report to your personal credit. I'm going to go over in the next section a few of my favorite cards and issuers and how to leverage them most profitably. But whenever you use a personal card, when your credit utilization goes above 10%, it can very adversely affect your credit score temporarily. Because a lot of business credit cards don't report to your personal credit, it won't decrease your credit score. So for me, for example, I have over $50,000 worth of business credit card debt that is in that 0% introductory period. When I pull up my personal credit report from all of those cards, there is nothing showing for those accounts, and my credit score stays in the mid 750s to 800 range. I did experiment once with a personal card and let the utilization go up to 50% while I was in an introductory period a couple of years ago, and it dropped my score by about 60 points. Luckily, the next month, I just paid the balance all the way down, and my score recovered by that same 60 points. But that just goes to show that whenever you go above that 10% on personal credit cards, it can really lower your score and reduce your opportunity for good credit card offers in the future. And if you're trying to get a car loan or an auto loan or another form of debt to improve your financial life. With the 5 rules out of the way, I just want to cover a few warnings and best practices. For me, I would not use this strategy if I didn't have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund along with my health insurance deductibles covered. Credit card debt is not an emergency fund. Credit card debt is an emergency if you're paying 20+% interest. So I highly suggest you avoid this 0% strategy unless you have your financial ducks in a row and you have a good safety net if the worst happens in your life and you're not relying on these credit cards. That's the trap the banks wants you to fall into, and that's not what we're about at this channel. Now I want to go over some of my favorite 0% interest credit cards I've used and a couple that I'm thinking about applying for. All right, so my two favorite 0% introductory credit cards both come from Chase. It is the Chase Ink Business Unlimited and the Chase Ink Business Cash. The reason why I like both of these cards is they have a 12-month 0% introductory APR period, and they have a $0 annual fee, so it's a really easy card to get started with. They're also both Visa cards, which means they're going to be accepted just about everywhere. They also have one of the most lucrative sign-up bonuses. So for the Chase Ink Unlimited, for example, after you spend $6,000 in the first 3 months, you'll be earning an extra $750 bonus cash back. So on top of that money you'd be making using your high yield savings account combined with that 0% introductory period like we covered in the spreadsheet, you'll be getting this extra $750 bonus or 75,000 ultimate rewards points that you can use for elevated travel with transfer partners or with a card like the Business Preferred or the Sapphire Preferred. The really cool thing about Chase as well, though, is among their business products, between the Cash Unlimited and their preferred cards, you can actually move your credit limit around. So say you got the Chase Business Unlimited first, you got a $10,000 credit limit on this card. You basically maxed it out after your year or so of having it. You pay off the card and you still have that $10,000 credit limit. Say the following year you get the Chase Ink Cash card, you can then move, say, $9,000 of that limit over to your cash card and increase that. So say you got another $10,000 on your business cash card, you now have a $19,000 limit that you can use during that new 0% introductory period on the cash card. This is not by any stretch of the imagination a full review of these cards. It's just two of my favorite ones with the 0% introductory period. Read about the rewards categories. There's other videos out there or just some information on here. I'll have a link to both of these cards down in the description. American Express, they have two cards with this ability. That is the Blue Business Cash and the Blue Business Plus. They're both almost identical cards that give you 2% back on every dollar up to the first $50,000 spent with the Business Cash, or 2 membership rewards points on the first $50,000 spent with the Blue Business Plus. Like Chase, you can transfer your credit limit between business cards, and you can also transfer some of your credit limit from your personal cards over to your business cards, but not back. Just keep that in mind if you have something like on your Amex Blue Cash Everyday card and you want to increase the credit limit. You can do that. I haven't had to do that too much because they are also very generous with their credit limits, at least in my experience. My first business card with American Express that had a 0% introductory offer was the Blue Business Plus that I got last year, and they gave me a $25,000 limit, and that was actually really hard to take advantage of that. The other cool thing, though, is you'll also generally not get another hard pull once you've already been approved for an American Express card. So, like for me last year, I didn't want very many credit inquiries, and I actually got the Blue Business Plus in July, and then got the Blue Business Cash in December of last year, and that only took one hard pull between that and a number of other American Express credit cards. If you want to learn more about how to maximize all of your benefits and sign-up bonuses with American Express business cards, click on the video up above. All right, so my third favorite issuer is US Bank. The reason why I like them is because their introductory offer on their US Bank Triple Cash lasts for 15 months instead of 12 months. That's probably the biggest benefit. There's a few drawbacks with US Bank. They do not allow you to transfer your credit limit between their other card products. So unfortunately, whatever limit you're given with this card, you're kind of stuck with, and they generally don't like it for you to apply for a credit limit increase until about 6 months after you've had the card, which by then I'm kind of looking at a new introductory period. But that 15 month period is nice. It's why I actually applied for this card a few weeks ago, and I was approved with the $10,000 limit. They have a $500 cashback bonus after you spend $4,500 within the first, I think it's the first 4 months on this card, which is nice if you don't have a lot of spend. So it's the first 4 or 5 months, not 3, so you have a while to hit that cashback bonus. My last one I want to talk about is the Signify Business Cash by Wells Fargo. It's a card that came out earlier this year. It also has a $500 bonus when you spend $5,000 in purchases in the first 3 months, and their introductory period is for 12 months. This one's on my radar next. Also, just as a long-term card, getting 2% cash back for my business sounds amazing. Just for a long-time card with no annual fee, and it's a Mastercard, so it's going to be accepted in a lot more places than my American Express. All right, so those are my favorite 0% introductory cards. We'll get back to big-headed me for the rest of the video. All right, so now that I've talked about the rules for using this method, the best strategies, and everything else, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about how much I'm actually bringing in on a yearly basis. So across all of my business credit cards, generally I have about $50,000 being used at 0% interest. That's a little higher than you might have. I'm able to do that because I have a lot of tax payments for my business that's just kind of floating on there. And instead of that tax money just leaving my account, I love leaving it on the credit card where it can be earning interest in my high yield account until I pay the card off. So with that $50,000 of credit card debt at 5.5% in my Wealthfront account, that comes out to about $2,750 I'm earning every year in interest just on the bank's money. This all might sound a little complicated, but once you have the habit down, it doesn't take too much time to manage all of this and be making some money off of the bank. If you're curious how much you could make with any card, feel free to use the link to the spreadsheet I put in the description. I have one for 12 months and 15 months if you happen to get a card that has a longer period. With that fat stack of cash out of the way, thank you so much for watching. If you want to help your brothers and sisters make some extra cash, hit that like button so the algorithm can spread the wealth around. Let me know in the comments if there are any 0% offers you are doing or have done that worked out for you, or if you had some other experiences. I always like to hear from you. And as always, if you want to be reminded of how beautiful you are and make a new fat stack of cash, hit that subscribe button. Click this video over here to learn how I use this strategy to make the Blue Business Plus my most profitable credit card ever, and click on this playlist over here for the best credit card and bank bonuses of the month.